Hello, Rob here, and welcome to R&B Reviews. Today we're going to go in and see the new Marvel movie, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and I'm joined once again by Darren.
Hello, greetings.
Hey, you've become the new regular on the show.
Yeah.
A lot of guest spots.
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, well, first of all, I just want to say we're standing outside our local movie theater, and honestly, I had never heard of this character until Marvel made the announcements of what the Phase 4 movies were, but you're familiar with this character.
Oh, yes.
Are you a big fan of Shang-Li?
Shang. It's Shang, but I've been pronouncing it for years wrong as well, so Don't feel bad. Well, basically, he is Marvel's master of Kung Fu. And he's been around since the 1970s, supposedly. And he got really popular when the whole Kung Fu era, the TV show and everything, was on there, just really hot. And then it died out, and so did he. So they tried to resurrect him, like with Heroes for Hire, with Iron Fist and all that. And the character really never really seen that much recognition until now in his own movie. To be honest, Rob, I really wasn't excited for this movie. I really didn't think it really needed to be made. Even based on the merchandise and like the figures and everything in stores, I wasn't really thrilled with any of that. Get out of here, B. So I really don't know what to expect. I mean, but there are high critic reviews for this, and it's very critical to the Marvel Universe as a whole, especially with what has happened with Loki on Disney+. I'm looking really forward to it, but the thing is that I don't understand, which I'm hoping to understand, is why he has the 10 rings. The only character that I know of is the Mandarin that has the 10 rings, and they're on his fingers, not on his wrists, like how they're depicting. So I'm really anxious to see why Shang has those rings on his wrist. I'm pumped right now because just from what I'm hearing about it, so we'll see if that all comes to pasture here. Yeah. Now, like I said a moment ago, I had never heard of this character until this movie got announced, and I'll be honest with you, I think the only reason why I'm here is because every Marvel movie has something that leads into the next movie or to the next big movie, which is probably going to be Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. But other than that, I don't know if I would have gone to have seen this movie. I don't know if he's going to take off like Iron Man or Captain America or Thor did. But I mean, I do hope that it's a good movie. I am kind of hoping that it's better than Black Widow. I didn't hate Black Widow, but it's not my favorite Marvel movie. So, all right, well, we're going to head on in. All right. And then we'll give you our review when we get out. Let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah.
Okay, everybody, we've just gotten out of the movie. So now, and by the way, I hope you like our new setup. I actually, instead of the 2 chairs from the last review, I got a nice couch. Hopefully it's nice and cozy for you, Mr. Darren.
Yes, definitely, Mr. Ruff.
Yeah. All right. Well, as many of you know, I don't look at reviews or any of that before going in to see a movie as you do, Darren. I did see one person on my Facebook post felt like it would be formulaic, so I was a little nervous going in there. And like I said, I had no interest in seeing this movie, but I gotta say I like this more than Black Widow. I thought it was a very well done action movie. I mean, Simu plays Shang-Chi, and he's great. In the movie, he's called Shang-Chi. Yeah, there's a nice scene where he tries to tell his American friends and everyone how it's pronounced in that movie. I thought it was very well done. I really liked the look of the movie. I thought the acting was very good, especially from Awkwafina plays his friend in the movie, and I was kind of nervous because I recently reviewed Raya and the Last Dragon, and she played the dragon, and I thought her comedy was a little bit forced and unfunny, and I was kind of nervous that was going to happen here. I did not think that was the case at all. I think her comic timing was not forced. I thought she did good comedy relief. That was the purpose of the character, pretty much.
Yep.
She does get some good dramatic moments. That was one of the things that I said in my Ray and the Last Dragon review. I think she might be better at doing drama, but she gets some nice dramatic events. She has very good facial expressions. Story was very good. I mean, I liked that this one has a lot of family drama involved with Shang and his family, and where everything is going from there. Like I thought that was very well done. I kind of liked the first 2/3 of the movie a little bit better than the last third. I know the last third is what you expect out of a climactic Marvel battle, but I really like the first 2/3 because they developed the character's background. Like the characters will tell stories about how we got to this point or why this happened, and it doesn't sound expository. It sounds like they're actually telling you, or the other characters, what's going on or how we got to this point without, banging the audience over the head with details. So I was very impressed with this movie. What about you?
Well, I was very impressed as well. It really did surprise me because I really had no intention of seeing this movie either.
Yeah.
Based on just the popularity of the character, like how I mentioned before, it had died out like back in the 70s, like when Kung Fu was like really hot. You had like Jean-Claude Van Damme, like previous, and then of course Bruce Lee, and then ABC or CBS made the show Kung Fu, and that's where this character was actually developed by Marvel Comics. Now, in the comics, Shang-Chi, he is the son of a very criminal tyrant called Fu Manchu, which actually is the name for like a style of a beard, actually. So I really do like the story arc that they went with this movie, basically saying that the Mandarin was his father. But again, like I said, like the Mandarin has like the 10 rings on his fingers, not on his wrist, and I think that was really a really great touch to put that on his wrist instead of his fingers, because you could do so much more, especially when the rings.
Yeah, especially when they're fighting and they fly off his arms and stuff.
Yeah. Now what they didn't get to was like in the beginning. Yeah, they said like, oh yeah, these rings, they came from somewhere, but they didn't really do like the main story arc of the comics, because the Mandarin's rings themselves are indeed alien artifacts. And they do have like a lot of power to them. You could summon darkness with one, light with another. I mean, it's just a different route that they went, where the rings, they all did the same thing instead of individual powers themselves.
Well, I mean, maybe down the line they'll explore that a little bit more. Maybe that's the case, but they didn't want to explain it in this first one because they're setting the character up.
Possibly. Back in the comics, the tyrant, his father, Fu Manchu, wanted him to bring down like criminal masterminds that caused him harm or dishonor or something like that, and he actually went through with it, where in the movie they said like he didn't, but I guess he did. So yeah, I mean, he killed a very elderly man back in the comics in his bed, so that was kind of like brutal, especially for that that time in the 70s. So, and then after that, you really didn't hear anything about Shang-Chi until Heroes for Hire, like back in the 2000s, was kind of resurrected the character, and he fought along like Iron Fist and I think just various heroes. Iron Fist is one that really sticks out to me, but we all know that Iron Fist kind of failed on Netflix, I think it was. But yeah, this movie, it really shocked the hell out of me. Just the whole legend behind the 10 rings. I didn't expect it. I expected something a little bit darker, not so much peaceful. Like even the guy that they got, like his name was Wen Wu, his father, which he is the Mandarin, or so he said, but like just what they did with this, the visuals were stunning.
Yeah.
You learned about his whole family, and it was great. And if anything, that's where Disney fries the most is, and Marvel is telling a family tale. And this was very family oriented. I really do believe. But one thing that what kind of put me off was, okay, I said like even before, our pre-assumption of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, I said like this movie didn't need to be made. I'm now kind of eating my words in that aspect, because Disney and Marvel, they want to reach out to everybody. Like they had the African American
Black Panther.
with Black Panther and Wakanda, and now we got Wakanda Forever coming out pretty well. I mean, just down the line, and they didn't have really anything Asian. Okay. But I really did get confused, like whether he was Japanese or was he Chinese.
He's Chinese.
Yeah, he's Chinese, which kind of shocked me, because I thought he was Japanese. See, they really didn't touch much on that, like in the comics, like where he really came from. Or at least I didn't read it, but I mean the Chinese, it does make sense because they're very partial to dragons in their culture. I mean, this was a very Chinese-inspired movie.
Yeah. And you made a point about who this is for, because not only is this like Asians, there's actually the sister is very strong-willed. She kind of created her own empire, because when she was growing up, she saw that her and Shang-Li's father didn't allow girls to do any of the training and fighting. And she's like, and there's a line in there where she's like, since he wouldn't let me into his empire, I created mine. So she created like a sort of underground fight business in this movie.
Yeah.
So you got a strong female characters in this movie.
Right.
And
Disney and both Marvel have been really successful with that. I mean, Mulan too. Granted, I didn't like the whole movie adaptation of Mulan. I like the cartoon better.
Yeah.
But I did see a lot of aspects of like that, where that movie could have really inspired Shang-Chi quite immensely.
Yeah.
Now, in the whole Marvel universe, the only dragon that I really know of is Fin Fang Foom is his name, and he's like an astral kind of dragon that lives in outer space. And I really well, he can live anywhere actually, because in the cartoons he's like everywhere. But I didn't see him, and that kind of disappointed me, because like you have like all these dragons going around, and not one of them has like really any ties to Marvel, and that was like the only dragon that I knew of that really had that tie to Marvel.
Well, like I said, he might come in future movies for all you know.
Could.
Something that I did like was now this is in the trailer, so I don't consider this a spoiler, but while he's not an out-and-out villain, but the main antagonist is Shang-Chi's father, because now most villains are like one-dimensional, or sometimes they're just evil because they want to do something. There's a reason why he's behind what he's doing. It's very emotional, and it made sense, because oftentimes, like I said, you see these villains that just want to take over the world or destroy something for some vague reason, but here there's a reason behind why he's doing what he's doing. And I kind of, because we went on this journey the whole time with the movie, you kind of understand where he's coming from and why he feels that way. There's two credit scenes. There's one in the middle, which I think is probably the longest in Marvel movie, because it felt like really long. Usually they're quick. And then there's one at the end. Now at the beginning of this video, at the when we were talking at the beginning outside the theater, I said, hopefully this movie does tie in with Marvel, and it does. There's some good tie-ins, with some of the other characters, which I won't give away. But I gotta say, from the trailer, it looked like it was gonna be just like a revenge movie, because I've seen this in a lot of other movies where there's a kid that's raised in like a villainous family, like a mafia or whatever. And I
Right.
thought that's what
Right.
what was going on here, where he broke away from his father and he's doing his own thing, and then suddenly he has to fight his father again. That's not exactly what this movie is.
No.
So I mean, the trailer made it look like it was going to be one thing, but I feel like this movie was not that at all. I think maybe because you mentioned the trailers looked boring.
They did.
It looked like
really
I said,
boring.
yeah, it looked like it was just going to be an ordinary, I'm not my father, I don't want to be part of the crime family, and that's not exactly what this movie is at all.
Right.
So I was impressed that, there was a little bit more heart into it, and yeah, there are some familiar Marvel elements to it, but like I said, I'm glad I went and saw it. I think it was definitely worth it. We saw this in the theaters. Right now, this movie is not on Disney Plus. It is in the theaters. I believe they changed it where it's going to be in the theater for 45 days and then it's going to switch to Disney Plus. I personally think it looked very good on the big screen. So if you're able to see it on the big screen, I highly recommend it. I think the reason why they're switching that is because they right before they were doing it simultaneously, where you could watch it on Disney Plus and pay, I think it was the premiere fee, and then eventually it would be free to everybody, and or you could watch it in the theaters. They were doing it simultaneously, almost what HBO Max and Warner Brothers is doing, but I think because of the Scarlett Johansson lawsuit, they switched to doing that. So this movie is strictly in the theaters right now. But like I said, I think it's worth seeing it in the theaters if you can get to it. Personally, I think I would give it 4 stars. Yes, there are some familiar elements, but it was entertaining. The action scenes were wonderful. It's like watching a ballet with all these characters fighting. I think there was heart. I think there was some substance behind, all these characters, like why they're doing what they're doing.
A lot of heritage.
Yeah.
I mean, it really brought forth a lot of true, just aspects of culture, of Marvel, of Disney. I mean, it's all in here.
Yeah.
So I mean, I really loved it, and I really highly recommend. I'm gonna just go with 4 stars.
Okay.
Actually.
Wow, it's been a long time since we shared the same stars.
Yeah. I'm gonna just go with 4 stars because like I said, there were things that I was kind of missing from the whole Marvel fanboy perspective. Especially Fin Fang Boom. I really wanted him in this movie. But we had some surprising cameos in this.
Yeah.
And I mean, the visuals were stunning, but I felt like I kind of saw it before.
Yeah, that was my problem with the climactic battle. And what I liked about the first 2/3 of the movie is there's special effects there, but they're not distracting. When we got to like the last third of the movie, you kind of could tell what was CGI compared to how it was in the beginning.
Right.
So I kind of agree with you there that it seems like we've seen it before.
Yeah. But I will say that I am really pleasantly surprised. What really shocked me was like just even dating back to like Iron Man 3 or Iron Man, where the 10 rings were first introduced, they're terrorists, they're ruthless. And then you have somebody that you expect to be like so ruthless and a tyrant, kind of like his original fire Fu Manchu in the comics, but him being called the Mandarin, it especially when it hit home with like kind of like September 11th and all that back then, you wouldn't expect him to even have a heart. So that really shocked me right there because I expected this dark, ruthless villain, and even the guy that they got to play him, he's just like so soft. I mean, it's just like he could be like the friendliest person in the world. And
that's what I liked about him.
Yeah,
he's not like a one-dimensional, cold, dark villain. He's not like that.
Right.
And what stuck out for me was some of the dialogue. Like there's a line where, I mean, I don't think they had this in mind when the pandemic, I don't know if, I think this movie was filmed before the pandemic, but there's lines of dialogue where there's, where Shang-Chi and their friend Katie are meeting with some other friends and they're talking about, now they're talking about, obviously, with the finger snapping and population being gone, one of the characters says, live for today, like there's no tomorrow, like where half the population can go, because a good number of the population, unfortunately, because of COVID, has gone. So I mean, I thought that was really relatable with what's going on now with people with COVID, like either passing away or getting hospitalized, and trying to people living for now rather than than
right. I mean, basically, if you really want an escape, like from our harsh reality, I mean, this truly takes you on this just amazing journey. Like no other, like through fantasy. Like you actually felt like you were there in the fantasy world.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, and I looked as the credits rolled, and I mean they have wet digital behind this. Marvel even has their own effects house now too. So it took a lot to really make this movie and to bring it to life, as well as other movies. But this one in particular is very special in terms of effects. And another special part of it is Michelle Yeoh herself. I mean, she's very.
She plays the aunt.
Yeah, she's very connected to her culture. I mean, she's a very cultural, kind-hearted woman as an actress in anything that she does, and she doesn't stray far from that path in this movie either. So, I mean, it's definitely enjoyable. It's definitely surprising.
Yeah.
And that's all I can really say about it.
Yeah, that's all I got too. And one more thing, Awkwafina and the actor playing Shang-Chi, they had great friend chemistry together, and it was really good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And Awkwafina, I mean, she's just for comic relief. But this movie, it was so intense, but yet it flowed along with her comedy.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was like a dragon itself. It just flew.
Yeah.
It flew by those 2.5 hours that we were there, because it was just so enjoyable from start to finish, and I really didn't expect that.
Yeah. This movie is a nice surprise, so we're giving it 4 stars, and we think if it's playing near you, give it a try if you'd like. All right, well, Darren, I appreciate you coming by again doing the video with me.
Yeah, I enjoyed the setup, and looking forward to many more with you.
Yeah, now if you have seen the movie, what did you think? Go ahead and post your comments in the comment box below and let us know. We do read everything that comes in, so till next time, take care on R&B from R&B Reviews.
Okay. Watching! Come on!